Hollow Knight is a masterpiece. From its story, to its music, to its art style, every aspect of this game is expertly crafted to create an incredible experience worth replaying several dozen times. While I could rant for hours about its incredible soundtrack, its beautiful atmosphere, or its poetic story, personally, the thing I love most about Hollow Knight is its combat. From how it works to how it feels, fighting in Hollow Knight is perfect. As it should be. I mean, it's 90% of the game, for crying out loud. Because Hollow Knight's progression is purely based on your ability to fight, failing to learn essential mechanics through the game's early enemies will result in you getting stuck. A lot. This is where most people's problem with the game lies. Hollow Knight is hard. It's nicknamed Bug Souls for a reason. While everyone has the opportunity to enjoy the wonderful adventure Hollow Knight offers, there are many that fall behind because they keep getting stuck at. For this reason, in this video I'll be explaining everything there is to know about Hollow Knight's combat, hopefully getting you past that stupid boss and allowing you to enjoy the rest of the game. Or to overcome some stupidly masochistic challenge you set for yourself because you've drained every other ounce of enjoyment from this game and need something to do. In order to make a guide for both new players as well as experienced ones, I'm going to be talking about not only the basics, but also about some concepts concerning them that I haven't found discussed in other guides. So regardless of the hours you've got in the game, hopefully you'll be able to learn something new. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. Some friendly advice. If your method of fighting is brute forcing your way through everything at all times, just stop. Please, just stop. I guarantee you will die 100% of the times that you try this. Hollow Knight is designed to punish you for that sort of thing. Sun Tzu once said, "So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak. Stop running headfirst into the enemy, you absolute baboon." The game wants you to learn to identify when you can attack and when you can't. Sometimes you just have to wait for your enemy to throw out a move you know you can dodge to actually attack. That's just how it is. This game is about patience, looking for an opening and striking when you see it. But with all of these different bosses with their own unique attacks, how do you know when to strike? The answer is simple: trial and error. You'll find these opportunities by experimentation. Do I get hit when trying to attack here? Yes! Okay, next time let's wait until they're finished doing that before running in and attacking again. Is it better to stay in the air or stick to the ground for this boss? Well, considering the fact that I get hit more when I'm in the air than on the ground, I think I'll stay there, thanks. When can I heal during this boss fight? Let's try it here. Oh, that worked! Now I know I can heal here safely. If you're struggling to find opportunities to attack, that's understandable. Some bosses attack non-stop, forcing you to hit only once or twice between their strikes. Even if you don't see an opening, I guarantee there will be one. Just don't sit there out in the open slapping the boss and expecting him to just sit there and take it. Now, if you don't want to go through the painful process of dying 30 times over to figure out what to do to beat a boss, I don't blame you. If that's the case, the best thing I would suggest is watching how other people fight that boss. If you can't decide how to tackle boss attacks, just watch how other people do it. And I don't mean noob central.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
I'm talking about experts, pros, people who know what they're doing. I used to watch videos like this when I was midway through the game, and they helped a ton. Each boss has their own secret behaviors that pros take advantage of in order to optimize. These help a lot when it comes to speedrunning, but also just to fighting them normally in general. While you may only learn little things from them, those little things can make a big difference. If you're still stuck, go watch someone else explain it to you. I'm not doing a breakdown video of all 47 bosses. I'm not. I'm seriously not. Don't ask me. Okay, maybe. Like any good Metroidvania, in Hollow Knight there are plenty of useful abilities you earn along your journey, which aid you as you progress through the game. And, like an even better Metroidvania, this wide array of tools at your disposal are just as useful in combat as they are to overcoming obstacles. So I'm going to do a quick run over of each of these moves, and discuss the various uses each one has in battle. I won't talk about where you get them, but I will show you what they look like and what they do. So, yeah. For this game, the Mothwing Cloak is your dash, a job it does incredibly well. You can use it to glide across the map, as well as extending airtime to avoid ground attacks and boss fights. While the Mothwing Cloak is good, its upgrade, the Shadow Cloak, is even better. This broken move gives your dash complete invincibility, allowing you to pass through enemies and attacks without getting hurt. To stop it from being too overpowered, the developers gave it a recharge cooldown of 1.5 seconds. Despite this setback, the Shade Cloak is still the best dodging ability in the game by far. Because of its huge influence on gameplay, this makes mastering this move one of, if not the most vital aspect of Hollow Knight. You need to memorize the timing of the dash's recharge. This is because the Shade Cloak cooldown is longer than your dash cooldown, which means that you only have the Shade Cloak every other dash you do. Knowing exactly when your Shade Cloak reactivates allows you to prepare to dodge upcoming attacks, or as a risk-free backdoor to sneaking out of range after getting some hits in. This is definitely the easier of the two to pick up, as the game gives you a visual cue to help you with that. Players will oftentimes dash towards the enemy to make most of the little vulnerability a boss has. However, this has the dangerous potential to use up your Shade Dash before you need it, which will deny you of that precious invincibility when you do. While I don't discourage dashing towards bosses in this way, just remember that doing so is an option. Don't try to get some extra hits in if you'll think you'll need your iframes later. The Vengeful Spirit is a solid spell. It's got mad damage, but it's quick and reliable. Both of these are enhanced by its upgrade, Shade Soul. Despite its below average base damage of 30, it's got a short cooldown, incredible range, and reliable size, perfect for dealing chip damage from a safe distance. Desolate Dive is a bad spell. Its damage is fine, its invincibility is cool, but its starting lag and end lag make it next to unusable. Good thing we're here for its upgraded counterpart instead, Descending Dark. Descending Dark is debatably the best spell in the game. Descending Dark's got a whopping base damage of 65, with a hitbox the size of a literal solar system.
That's quite big. Impressive.
For a move this powerful, you'd think the developers would nerf it like they did with the Shade Cloak. Nope. It's just a really good move without any drawbacks. Okay, well there is that like 0.5 seconds of startup and end lag, but who cares when the move gives you invincibility for nearly twice as long? What attacks you don't end up stalling out in the air, you'll just brush off with that sweet 0.8 seconds of invincibility. Heck yeah, baby. In fact, the invincibility the move offers is good even on its own. If you done did a goof and just used your Shade Cloak just as an unavoidable attack comes flying your way, Descending Dark can give you that precious moment of invincibility that you need, while doing a bit of damage on the side. Setting all of those stats aside, it's just really cool looking. I mean, look at that, that's awesome. S tier. Easily my favorite spell. Abyss Shriek is literally Descending Dark but for flying things. Now while it does have a slightly higher base damage than Descending Dark, its hitbox only reaches up and out above the player. I mean, it's still absurdly massive, but that's to be expected at this point. This, along with Descending Dark, are probably your strongest offensive spells in combat. The Monarch Wings are Hollow Knight's double jump, and if I'm being honest, probably my favorite double jump of any platformer. Most platformers are designed so that your jump height can vary depending on how long you hold the jump button. And, with most platformers, unlike the first jump, the double jump's height is usually fixed and can't change. Unlike this, the Monarch Wings act exactly like your first jump, and you can change exactly how high you want to rise. This allows for much more avial versatility, allowing you to get the exact amount of airtime you want. I really wish more platformers had double jumps like this. I will never forgive Ori for this pathetic upgrade. Why is this double jump so bad? Because of the Dream Nail's heavy starting lag, along with the fact that it doesn't do any damage, you would think that the Dream Nail is useless in combat. This, in fact, is not true. When striking enemies with the Dream Nail, you actually gain soul. This tool is most useful when the boss is in their stagger state, and you don't have enough soul to heal. Some bosses have animations that, while they can't be hit during them, they can be Dream Nailed. The nail arts are the charge attacks of Hollow Knight. They serve as excellent crowd control, as well as punishing bosses when they stagger. However, due to their slow recharge time and end lag, they remain purely situational. The Cyclone Slash is the most powerful of the arts, yet the most unreliable. The Cyclone Slash attacks on either side of the player for 3 hits, 6 if the attack button is mashed while performing the move. Each swing is worth 1.2 times your base nail damage. This is incredibly powerful, but only if you can manage to land all 6 of those hits. This limits the Cyclone Slash to being most useful against enemies you can pin against a wall and enemies too slow to fight back. The Great Slash isn't nearly as powerful as a full Cyclone Slash, but the Great Slash is much more reliable. It deals 2.5 times your base nail damage in a wide area in front of the player. This makes the Great Slash especially effective against enemies with small windows of vulnerability, such as enemies that teleport and or fly. The Dash Slash is my personal favorite. The Dash Slash, as its name suggests, is a move that propels the player forward while attacking forwards. The Dash Slash is a much more precise version of the Great Slash. They both deal 2.5 times base nail damage, but the Dash Slash provides greater range in exchange for more setup, as you have to dash forwards to activate it. The Dash Slash is your best way of dealing damage while keeping your distance, aside from Vengeful Spirit. Which is ironic considering you have to dash into your enemies to use it. Last section I talked about the abilities at your disposal. Now I'm going to tell you about some cool stuff you can do with them. While Hollow Knight sets up multiple opportunities for you to pogo stuff throughout the game, it never directly teaches you how to perform it. Pogo is a very useful technique in which the player swings downwards at an enemy or obstacle while falling on it from above. Attacking down just before hitting the ground causes knockback from the nail strike to propel the player upwards. If done correctly, and in quick succession, you can stay airborne indefinitely, or until the thing you're bouncing on dies. While at first this may seem like an interesting, but overall useless technique, this ability is actually used for a lot of different things. Not just for traversing across hazardous terrain, but also as a way to deal big damage for airborne enemies, even if they try to fly away. And it's not just for flying enemies either. Because the pogo positions yourself above the enemy, it's a brilliant way to dodge horizontal attacks while doing constant damage. A perfect defensive move as well as an offensive one. It's also a reliable way of correcting platforming mistakes, much like the Monarch Wings do. Because of its incredible uses both defensively and offensively, this makes learning to pogo an essential in becoming a better player. Parrying, while being quite a cool and interesting technique, it's very difficult to pull off and even harder to utilize. A parry occurs when you and an opponent attack each other at the exact same time. You know when you successfully perform a parry when you see that flash effect and you hear that tink sound. You'll also know because you won't get hit and die. A successful parry is rewarded with a split second of invincibility. This often gives you the opportunity to either get another hit in or dash away to avoid getting hit. But because the invincibility is so short, and because the timing is ridiculously precise, going for a parry usually isn't worth it, unless you're goated and you just want to show off. Spell stalling is the act of using spells solely to increase your airtime, as a way to either avoid an enemy attack or to set up your own. Intentionally missing spells can be a difficult technique to get used to, but it can really help sometimes. While the strategy is situational, it's still a good technique to know about. One of the main aspects of Hollow Knight's combat system I find most interesting is its charms. These little equiptables you come across, while they may be small, can influence your strength in battle in big ways. Because of the big impact charms have on combat, it's crucial to understand what charms to equip to fit your needs, as well as the scenario. You can't equip all of them at once, after all. Because of the wide array of charms at your disposal, it can be difficult to decide what charms to wear. This is why, when choosing your loadout, you want to have a clear idea of 1. What you're doing, 2. Your playstyle, and 3. What boss you're going up against, if you're actually fighting a boss. If you're planning to fight a boss, there's no reason why you should have the Wayward Compass equipped. That is just not smart. I know oftentimes bosses show up out of nowhere while you're exploring sometimes, but that isn't an excuse to keep it equipped after multiple attempts. Likewise, you shouldn't replace your compass with anything if you're going through unexplored territory. Hollow Knight's charm system is great because it's completely customizable, designed to satisfy the playstyle of any player. So if you have an idea of how you play, you'll know what charms will work better for you.
I forgot to record audio again, so have funny text-to-speech voice, haha yes. This means that if you know what you struggle with, you know what charms to equip to lessen your weaknesses. I would suggest asking yourself this. What do I struggle with more? Offense or defense? If you struggle offensively, this means you struggle to land hits on the boss, or fail to do significant damage. This is either because the boss moves around too fast, has high health, or your damage is too low. If you struggle defensively, you can't dodge enemy attacks to save your life, or you can't do damage without getting hit back. Knowing what you struggle with, you can equip offensive and defensive charms to turn your weaknesses into strengths. These weaknesses change depending on the situation, which is why I'll talk about that next.
When it comes to charm builds, while knowing yourself is good, you should probably also know your enemy. I think I read that in a book once. What was it called again? I remember now. It was Hamlet. Anyways, the point being is that you should think about your enemy's strengths and equip charms to combat them. Does the boss teleport around to avoid being hit repeatedly? Equip more offensive spells to make up for damage you miss out on whenever they teleport. Tend to get hit a lot because of that one move you can never seem to dodge? Invest in defensive spells that can help you heal that damage back or increase the chance of avoiding that damage altogether. While your skills may be good, we all have our weaknesses, and understanding how to make up for your weaknesses through charms will help you find great success in combat. And that's basically everything there is to know about combat in Hollow Knight. There are a couple of tidbits here and there that I left out, but I think I covered the most important parts. Whether you're a struggling beginner or a struggling masochist, I hope you were able to learn something. Or at the very least, my stupid jokes gave you a good laugh. As always, critique is much appreciated. If you have something you want to say, I guarantee I'll read it. And with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning, noon, or night, and have a very Merry Christmas.